You've heard about block parties, but have you ever considered organizing a block party for outreach? How could your church or church group organize a block party and use it to share the gospel and reach individuals and families for Christ? Join us today as I interview Nancy Stallard. She was involved with her congregation as they organized a block party for outreach. We'll learn how they planned it, what was included to make it fun and successful, and how your church or church group could also organize a block party for outreach. This is Meyer, president of Family Shield Ministries. Thanks for listening. Welcome, Nancy. Thanks so much for being my guest today on Family Shield.
Thanks. It's good to be here again.
Well, it's always good to have you with us. Tell us why you and your congregation decided to organize a gospel outreach block party.
In areas where there might not be churches or just any neighborhood that you have, it's just always a really great way to get people who aren't used to coming to church. Everyone will come to a block party. When you get a bounce house out there and games and food, hot dogs, chips, fruit, it just draws the whole community in. And it's a really great way then to meet these people for the first time and to get information and then just to welcome them into your church and get them to come, to other church activities that you may have.
I thought it was a great idea. I have never been to one, but I've always thought it sounds like such a great idea to meet neighbors in today's world when we don't always know all of our neighbors.
Yeah.
So tell us just a little bit about the early preparation and what was involved and what was needed.
Well, you need to be very organized if you're going to do a block party. So one thing you need to do ahead of time is to get a big committee of people. And you can make these block parties as big or as small as you want. If you have a lot of people and a lot of money, you can do a lot of things. You can keep it very simple. But you do need to figure out what kind of food you're going to have. You need to figure out what kind of games you're going to have. You're going to figure out what kind of things you're going to give away, if you're going to give away small toys or stuffed animals. And then you also need ahead of time to set the time, date, location, and then most importantly, make up flyers and then canvass that neighborhood probably twice, like maybe 2 weeks before and then maybe like 3 or 4 days before with flyers and even knocking on doors if you can see people, who are out to really get the word out.
That sounds great. So you use a lot of volunteers because of that, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the volunteers can do anything. Maybe some people only want to hand out the flyers. Maybe some people only want to hand out food and they're shy and they don't want to talk to people. But other people love to talk and interact. So you can use any kind of volunteer.
That's great. That's great. And so you could also use groups like Brownie groups or Cub Scout groups to help with those solicitation, putting out those flyers and that type of thing.
Yes.
Wonderful. So you talked about food. Just give us a picture. If someone was to walk through your block party, what are some of the things they would see happening?
Well, the first thing that you would come to would be the registration table. And to me, this is one of the most important pieces that you need to have in place. And you want to have a table kind of at the entrance where they can come in. We usually have the other items around a perimeter to make like a big square. But you want to have that at the front where people walk in because you want to be sure to catch them because it is nice to have a fun day and they could come to the block party and enjoy it. But if you don't do any follow-up, then you don't really get to minister to them a lot. So that simply has a table with 2 or 3 people. You've got the form that the people fill out. We ask for their name, their address, email, cell phone if they want to give it, and then we list how many children they have and then the child's age. So then we kind of know what age the children are. So the next thing at that table also, they get a bag and they write their name on the bag. And that way they can walk around and put items that they win in the bag or the food. If they want to take that home, they can put that in the bag. And then they also get some tickets that are stapled to the bag. And there'll be 5 or 6 different colors. And as they go around, there's 5 or 6 different tables with those tablecloth colors on there. So you go up to the pink table, you're allowed to get 1 item off of that, and that worker would peel off that ticket. So the registration table is very important, and it's good to have several people there who are quick and organized and to kind of get that going. And then from there, they just walk around with their bag. We have everything from children's books, and a lot of times these are gently used, but that's okay. Stuffed animals. We usually have a girl table of toys, a boy table of toys. And again, as they walk up to those particular tables, they're allowed to take 1 item off and then tear off the ticket. So you do need a person at each table monitoring those tables.
Make sure they're not grabbing all kinds
all of them,
stuff.
Right. And so, again, you can have as many tables as you have stuff. I put the word out, and I always have friends that donate all kinds of items. We rarely have to buy anything.
Is that right?
Yeah, people will just donate, and a lot of it's gently used, but some people will donate new items. And then from there, they go around and there will be several different games that they're going to play. And those games, some of them have prizes. Like we had a break a plate game. So that was kind of a more expensive game. So they could only play something like that once. But other games, it's beanbag toss. You might have like a wooden clown that has holes in it. You throw the beanbags through. So there's that. There's all kinds of just yard games, even like jarts and washers, things like that. We even just have footballs, bubbles. I mean, there's just all kinds of stations. Again, it's whatever your creative volunteers come up with is what you can do. There is no right or wrong, game to have. And then we have the food table. And so that's pretty nice. And again, with the food, you can make it as complicated or simple. Sometimes we have done hamburgers and hot dogs to hand out.
Free?
Yes, free, but they do have a ticket.
Oh, okay.
So again, that would be like the green table. And so that way you come and you get either one hamburger or one hot dog. So this little ticket system that's stapled to the bag is like the golden ticket, because if you staple it to the bag, they won't lose it. So I had figured that out, because one year we didn't staple it and there were tickets everywhere. Wow. But you do kind of have to monitor, because unfortunately we have a budget, and if 50 people are coming and they each take, the first 25 take 2 hamburgers, there's not enough left for the other people. We've done cotton candy, we've done popcorn in bags, we've done popsicles. You can do bags of chips, you can do little baggies of like 2 slices of apples and a couple grapes in there if you want to be healthy, because I'm all about healthy eating and everything. So again, it's whatever you want. Some cookies in a baggie. And like I said, the more expensive items, you do tickets for. Everything else, they can come back. And of course, we always have a big kiddie swimming pool that has ice in it. And that has all the water bottles and the juice pouches. All of those things are kind of out in the sunshine, because we only had one tent. So now I'm going to talk about the tent. In there, we had things that were a little more difficult to do, like the face painting. So we had one of those pop-up tents, and then we had a couple long tables and chairs under that. So we usually have 4 things under that. We usually have balloon making, because it takes a while, and you don't want that person out in the sun. Yeah. So make balloon animals.
Oh, those are cute.
And if you can't do balloon animals, you just tie a little thing and you put it on their head like a crown. I mean, we made lots of crowns. The other table is face painting. And you really need someone who can face paint, because I cannot face paint. So like the first time we had a block party, the leader put me on face paint, and the kids said, "Mom, we don't want to scare the kids, do we?" No, because I can't face paint. Yeah. But people can do that. And then we also have gospel bracelets that we make. And so someone sits and tells the kids the different colored beads, the black for sin, the red for Jesus' blood, the white that we're washed clean. So you go through that story and you allow the children to assemble the gospel bracelets. And then we had a little card we handed out that had the Bible verses along with that.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So those are kind of the main things we did under the tent, because it required sitting down on a chair, in a little bit of time. So, again, I love those 3 activities under the tent.
So it sounds like a lot of what you're focusing on is for the children of all ages. Right. But do you interact as well with the parents? You want the parents there, our grandparents, correct?
Yes, we do. We do. And, of course, they can play the games, too, if they want to. And they get to enjoy the food. We did have, along with the children's book table, this time we were actually, a lot of people donated adult, like Christian books. And so I was really excited.
Nice.
So I took a gallon Ziploc bag and I put a book in the bag, and then we had like a little cross, and then we had like a daily bread or portals of prayer, some kind of devotion booklet in there too. And so each parent had a ticket for a book, and they got to go and pick a bag off the table too.
Yeah, wonderful.
So it's a good way to witness.
That's awesome. Well, so that's just a little bit of some of the ways that some of the things you did that when people walk through, they would see. Yeah. And I was thinking, too, as they did the balloon animals, they could also, if they're able to, talk about God's creation.
That's right.
How he created the animals. And,
talk about Noah's Ark.
Just, again, depending on the person and what their gifts are. Good. Well, talk a little bit about some of the volunteers and what they did. I noted you shared some of the things. You had prayer walkers. And I love to be involved with prayer groups. And I thought, what a great idea, but I had no idea exactly what you meant by that.
Yeah, well, the prayer walker, those are some of my favorite people. I mean, they're really behind the scenes, people who just really believe in the power of prayer. And they would just simply walk around the perimeter of our whole the whole park there, and just pray, for safety for everyone, that the interactions are going well, that the kids really listen to the gospel story, that would really, work in their heart. And then they also would walk like the streets around there, just up and down, and praying that God would bless the homes and that the parents would be good leaders and, unity for the neighborhood and all that. So I think prayer walking is very important.
That's great. So you did it the day of the event.
Correct, yes.
But they could have
do it
prayer
previous.
walks before
right.
the event as well.
When I hand out flyers, I pray too. So I prayer walk and hand out flyers the week before. So you can do two things there.
Yeah,
so yeah,
absolutely.
But I like when the activity is actually going on to just pray
too.
that God would just bless the work of your hands and let the people really open their hearts to what you're trying to say. We're not just trying to serve hot dogs and popcorn.
You want to have an opportunity to share the message of God's love with each and every one of those people.
That's right. Yeah.
That's great.
And then also then the prayer station. I forgot to mention that too. That's a very important part.
What did you do with that?
We had a table, and of course we had a little tent over it. And it was kind of funny because some people would sit there simply because they wanted to get out of the sun. But we had Bibles and we had devotion books there, and we had people there who would simply pray or just simply share more about the gospel.
Okay.
And that was a time to do one-on-one with people.
Sure. Wonderful. You also talk about minglers. What are minglers?
I love minglers. I'm a great mingler.
I bet you are.
I am a good mingler. So minglers are they have no other job that day to walk around, but just to mingle. And they would especially talk with the parents. And they would see a parent kind of standing back watching their child, play a game, throw a ball or whatever. And they would be like, hi, my name's Nancy. Do you live in this neighborhood? Do you... tell me about your kids. And you don't want to start right away about God, but you just kind of ask about their kids and you kind of hear their needs or their ages. And then you say, well, you know what? Our church has a great kids program and we would love to have you come on a Sunday morning, or we got VBS coming up, or we got a Christmas program, or, youth group or whatever. So you kind of just engage with the parents and just let them know what opportunities are available.
So I'm sure, and you've mentioned other ways volunteers work. How many volunteers did you have for your event?
For this last one, we probably had about 25.
Wow.
Total, yeah. The other thing that we have at a table, I forgot to say, when they check in, if they fill out the form, they get to have some tickets. And they're the tear-off just raffle tickets where they put one in their pocket and then take the other one. And so we have adult prizes and then we have kid prizes. And they get to go and put their ticket in the little bucket. And so, the adult things might even just be like, laundry soap, laundry basket, just real practical things. Because we do this in a mobile home community.
Okay.
There are family game nights where we might have like the game, Twister or some other board game. And then we would put like some chips and salsa in there. So those are kind of the adult things that we would do. We also had some handyman things. Like we would just have hammer, screwdrivers, and gloves in case someone had to do repairs like that. And then for the kids, we would have as many things as we could get. And a lot of people donated money. So we went and actually bought like some skateboards and some scooters. We actually had some really nice gifts this last time. So the kids go by and they put their little ticket in. But they can only do that if they fill out the form.
Okay.
Because
again,
I have figured out, to get their address so you can follow up, it's really nice to, have them fill that out. So they fill all that out. So then they go and do all the things. And then we tell them that we do the drawing is at the end. And so we don't want to give away the gifts until they hear the gospel presentation.
Okay. Let me make a few announcements and then we'll continue talking about some of those outreach strategies that you're talking about. Today, Family Shield is giving away the booklet, First Class Faith Sharing. To request a complimentary copy, call the Family Shield Response Center at 1-877-250-8416 or email us at witness2family@gmail.com. That's witness2, family@gmail.com. Family Shield Ministries is a recognized service organization of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. It coordinates the educational and evangelism ministries, including its weekly Family Shield radio program that's heard throughout the United States. Also, our podcast. And it ministers to individuals and families through the Counter Cult ministry. We encourage listeners to sign up to receive the Family Shield email newsletter on our website at www.familyshieldministries.com. You can also connect to us through the Family Shield Facebook page. Now I want to go back to our guest, Nancy Stallard. We're talking about block parties for outreach. Before we continue our discussion, though, I do want to mention that Nancy has a little video that's how I learned about this. That was on Facebook. And when we do our podcast, we're going to try to attach that
link.
That link so that you can't on radio see it, but if you get our podcast, you'll be able to see just that little clip, because a picture is worth 1,000 words, isn't it, Nancy?
And you can just see how we're just out in this big field, and it's, we just put our stuff up and people just come. So you can literally do this anywhere. So
before I went to some announcements, you were talking about several things, but I want to come back to the fact that you're not spending a lot of money. You're advertising it to the church members, and they're, even if they can't help and be a volunteer, they're donating money or things, items that make this a success.
Right, yeah.
And so it's really very dependent on volunteers and supporters.
Right. Yes, it is. And, everyone can buy an extra bag of cookies for you when they go to the store.
Food,
or a lot of people have a lot of Christian books that they've read once, and they're just sitting on their shelf.
And they look like new, don't
they? They do. And so, we just kind of recycle all of those things and just make them up. So we were talking about the prizes. And so, again, you can tell people, maybe every Sunday school class can make a basket to donate, and it can be kind of any theme.
Good idea.
We have, girls and boys, young and old. We had like art kits. And you can see on the video some of the different kits, that we had. So anyway, so the kids are putting all these tickets in, and they go and enjoy for about 2 hours. And the whole event was about 2.5 hours. And that's kind of a good amount of time. Yeah. You don't want to make it too long, because we had to be there almost an hour ahead of time to set up, hour to clean up. So you have to think of your volunteers.
And you said you had it in a
it was just like a field that was kind of in the middle of the whole mobile home community park.
Community.
Yeah. So you can, just if you can get a little park or a corner of something, or if you're doing it in your own community.
I was going to say, I think that would be nice to do too. I was telling somebody the other day, I think in most communities in the United States, 50%, at least 50% of your neighbors are going to be unchurched or unsaved.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so it may not be as easy to share the gospel message when you're just having it outside of your house. But that's great. Well, let's talk a little bit more about those effective outreach strategies that you used and have learned over the years. You were talking about the tickets and the different ways you do that. Why is it so important to build relationships with the children and their families when you're there?
It is. And that's the whole reason we're there. I mean, it is nice to have a fun Saturday afternoon where we're doing some fun things, but you want to be building those relationships. And so also you want to be able to present them with the gospel. So
absolutely.
We kind of, we make the baskets because we do want to bless them physically with a gift for coming. But also that kind of is the carrot that we hold up to keep them to stay. Otherwise they kind of get their hamburger.
So you wait till the very end to give those out.
That's right. So about 10 minutes before we're done with the whole event, we do what we call our gospel presentation. And we have everybody sit down. So it's nice to have folding chairs if you can. So everyone sits down, and then someone just simply shares, their story or, God's love. I mean, we just keep it very simple, very basic. A lot of these people have never gone to a church. Right. They don't understand even what the word salvation means.
Yeah, you got to keep the words simple.
Yeah, very simple.
And explain when they do ask questions.
And we do go through the gospel bracelet again, because we tell the parents, your child's coming home with a gospel bracelet. We go over the color of the beads and what that means. And just very simply, we ask if anybody has any prayer requests that we could pray, and then we do pray all out loud together. And then we get to the fun part, which is drawing of the tickets. So each basket had like a little cup that had the ticket. So we just take that cup and that prize, we hold it up, we pull out a ticket, and that child gets a gift.
165. That's me. Okay, Lizzie.
Oh, cool. Jesse.
165. All right, Jesse. Awesome.
So they walk away with something fun, and we try to do we tried to have almost like 25 small baskets. It's better than a couple big things, because you want every family to at least have something to walk away. Yeah. And then from that, the follow-up that we do is that we have those cards, and we do a mailing to everyone, and we thank them for coming. And we say, we're really glad you came, and we let them know our church time, our church services, the youth group, what's going on, if we have preschool, whatever. If we have Christmas coming up.
Vacation Bible School coming up.
VBS coming up, whatever. That's right. And then we let them have a phone number of one of us, of a contact person, to call back if they would like. And then we do go and knock on their door.
Do you?
Yeah, about a week later. Yeah, and just say, we're here and,
glad
letting
you
you know.
came.
Yeah, yeah. Because we actually, in this community, we go on Thursdays. Well, now we moved to Sundays, but we take our church van and actually go pick up kids.
Oh, sure.
And so those new addresses, we just knocked on the door and said, does your child want to come today to our little Bible Kids Club?
Sure.
Some of them say yes. One of them kind of slammed the door, but, you get both sides.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but at least we have the contact info to try to communicate.
Well, tell us about a story about someone that has been impacted that came, either there or afterwards.
Yeah, well, a lot of the kids, it's hard in this community. A lot of their prayer requests are, my dad got laid off again, or my dad's in jail, or, we don't really have food to make it through the week. And it's really just kind of, heart-wrenching. But a lot of the kids have just said, they're so thankful that we come and do these parties. And then with the follow-up, we do once a week this little Bible Kids Club. And
do many of them end up coming?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, we got about 20 kids that come on a regular basis. Yeah. And, it's just so neat to see their faith grow. And they'll ask questions about what we learned last week. And I'm thinking, wow, they were kind of rowdy, but actually they were paying attention,
Yeah.
And so you really just see their faith grow, and they just want to know more about Jesus and what it means to be a Christian. And, they're starting to get nicer to each other and behave a little better. So, so we see a lot of growth in the children, which is exciting.
Fantastic.
It keeps us going back.
Sure. Do you also ever hear from any of the moms or dads or grandmas or grandpas?
Yeah,
Tell us about a story or an impact of one of them.
Well, I know it's really nice. They say how much this program means to them, and they're just so grateful that they can send their child, to our program. The day of course, with the block parties, a lot of them are thanking us. Because, you're providing a meal for them. Right, and some fun and some entertainment and all that. And some of the same families keep coming back, year after year.
How many years have you been doing this?
I think about 3. And we do 2 to 3 of these block parties a year.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you guys are pros at this.
And,
when I heard about it, I felt like it would be a wonderful program to do so that people in congregations that are always wanting to do outreach but can't think of anything to do would hear about it and realize they're not going to do it by themselves. They're going to have to get a group of volunteers together, but they could start small. It doesn't have to be anything large.
And this has grown. And now at Easter time, we do an egg hunt. And then we have Easter baskets that people have donated. So each child walks away with a basket that's wrapped, and they get to hunt eggs.
Nice.
And then at Christmas time, we're gearing up for our Christmas party, which again is donated items. We've got the pink table, the blue table, the black table, and we have all these different gifts. We have hats and gloves. We've got toys. We've got gifts they can give their parents. And so, we just kind of keep doing these different activities just to bless them, and to build community with them.
Yeah. I think to some extent, the Block Party for Outreach kind of reminds me of, everybody knows what Vacation Bible School is, but some people have done Vacation Bible Schools in their home.
Yes.
And invited the neighborhood children. And I love when they do those type of things. It does take work, and usually you need more than one person handling all the kids. So we have about 2 minutes left, Nancy. What else do you want our listeners to know?
That, again, you can just make this as big or small as you want, and that you can do it. And the first time we did, you learn a lot, and you kind of
don't always do it right.
That's right. But we've made some mistakes. So hopefully you've learned if you've listened to this broadcast. Things like the registration table and the tickets and things like that are just really, important to have set up. Just have it planned out. But, again, you just kind of have to go with the flow. You don't really know who God's going to bring through. You have to be flexible. But again, having people to talk to those parents, that's the main thing.
I think that's great idea.
Just that the parents know that we care, and that lets them feel comfortable. Oh, well, I'll let you come again on a Sunday afternoon to the kids' Bible club because they seemed like nice people.
Yeah, they seem like nice people.
Yeah, and that we cared. And so then they trust us to have our, we have the kids for about an hour every Sunday. So, and that's just a lot of fun too. So, it's really fun.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, again, my guest has been Nancy Stallard, and we've been talking about how their congregation did a block party for outreach. And I just again want to recommend that our listeners think about doing something like this. Start small.
That's right.
Think about how you can do outreach. And we have a whole list of different ways congregations and individuals can share the message of God's love through Jesus Christ with people. And I want to mention again that we're giving away the book, First Class Faith Sharing. You can call our response center, 1-877-250-8416, or email us at witnesstofamily@gmail.com. Thank you so much, Nancy, and thanks for listening. This is Kay Meyer with Family Shield.